Hi there, I'm Judy Zorn, and welcome to Tuesday Talks. My guest today is Paul Soner. I'm very pleased to welcome Paul to Tuesday Talks and to have a chance to have a casual conversation with somebody that we all see at every concert on stage. And so, Paul, welcome, and
Thank you.
looking forward to having a chat with you. So if you can just give us a little bit of a background of how you started playing violin, and you've been playing for a long, long time, and maybe you could share a little bit with us.
Sure, happy to do that. Well, supposedly, I don't really remember it too clearly, but supposedly I begged for violin lessons starting around 4 years old. I don't really remember that. I do remember that my parents allowed me to start taking lessons when I was 6, so just after my 6th birthday. So you're right, it's a very, very long time. Uh, and I remember that it was like the most exciting thing ever. I remember getting my first violin, and I didn't know anything about anything at all, but I immediately took it to every room in the house, took it out, and pretended to give a recital in every room, one room by room throughout the house. I guess that was fairly entertaining for whoever might have been there. And then, my lessons began with Alice Schoenfeld, who's teaching at the University of Southern California at that time, and her sister Eleanor, very, very well known and highly respected violin cello duo team, just really wonderful educators, great artists. And yes, I studied with Alice and Eleanor for chamber music from 6 years old all the way till I left Los Angeles for Northwestern. And I I remember having a lot of really difficult lessons with Alice. She was very hardcore, very old school. But I learned so much from her that without getting in trouble, I used almost everything of what she taught me. I began gigging and getting professional work in junior high, and by high school I was pretty well established the freelance scene in Los Angeles, playing in the then Los Angeles Radio Orchestra, Ojai Festival Orchestra, things like that in the day. Some recording, lots of gigging around town, uh, and and then went to Northwestern, studied with the wonderful Samuel Magid, and from there I've had various positions, finally ending up with me moving to northern Michigan and doing what I do now.
Which is teaching at Interlochen. You've been there for a long time.
That's true. That's true. I was very fortunate to get that post, to land that position. Interlochen's a very special place to me, like nowhere else. I did have a couple university jobs along the way, so yeah, I've done a lot of teaching, and when we moved up here, the last thing I was thinking of was I'm going to look for another orchestra job, and I'm going to do a lot of teaching violin. That was the furthest thing from my mind. But with the opportunity that Interlochen provides, it's a very wonderful thing, and it remains really, really important to me, as of course does GLCO. GLCO is of paramount importance to me as well.
Well, it's a wonderful thing that we have you here and that you are with us and have been with the GLCO for a long, long time. Maybe you can kind of take us back to when you started with GLCO. And I also want to hear a little bit more about your role as concertmaster of the GLCO and the TSO. So you perform as concertmaster for both of those orchestras. And What exactly is a concertmaster, Paul? What does that mean?
Well, let's see if I can answer it appropriately. So I remember my first concert with GLCO. Robert Pattengale was a huge part of it. Of course, Matthew Hazelwood was conducting, and there had been some talk before that concert. Would I be interested in coming up and working with the orchestra? And when I finally did so, it was a really wonderful thing. Bob was hilarious and incredibly supportive, and really appeared and seemed dedicated to GLCO. Matt, of course, was already a very good friend of mine, so that was an easy, natural fit. And it was brought up, would I be interested in steering the orchestra from a situation of responsibility and approach it as professionally as possible. And that's a big commitment, but it was an easy answer, and it's been really wonderful. Um, at that time, I was already concertmaster with TSO. I had auditioned and spent that entire first year as concertmaster doing a lot of solo work with the orchestra. Part of Maestro Rhodes' plan for us to get to know each other. So I was in a good place after that to take on another orchestra. And for concertmaster, to me, I think it's really important that I have the attitude and the outlook that concertmaster doesn't mean you're the best player. It hopefully you're as good as everyone else, but sitting in the chair and taking that role, besides the obvious, you have to play the solos, you have to prepare the bowings. I think there's so much more that is really important. You have to let the, every player in the orchestra breathe through you. You can't look at it as a position of command and just bark orders at people. It doesn't work. So I've really tried to remember that every step of the way and just be as open to every player in the orchestra as open as I can be. And a huge part of concertmaster for me also is preparation. I believe in showing up to the first rehearsal, knowing the score and my part as best I possibly can. And then I'll continue to polish and work on it all the way through the concert. So I think it's a matter of time and commitment. And I've been known to get up really early and practice really late. Yeah, and coordinate with the other principals. It's a multifaceted position, and one that I really enjoy for both TSO and GLCO, and I'm very thankful to work in collaboration and in support of the conductors, the music directors of the orchestra. I think it's so important to have a solid relationship with the music director. And I feel very fortunate to be able to say that in my particular case, the maestros that I serve as concertmaster for are not only great artists, I consider them wonderful, close, wonderful, great friends as well. It helps.
Yes, yes, that's wonderful. Is it true, Paul, that as concertmaster, if there were a situation where the conductor was not able to be there, that the position of concertmaster would be the person then that would step in and make sure that the concert would go and maybe even conduct?
It's true, and it certainly can happen. I think it would, often that will depend on the program. Uh, more often than not, at least for me, if when that situation occurs, I prefer and have always stayed in the concertmaster chair and led from there. If because for GLCO, you know, smaller and chamber orchestra, I'm comfortable doing that. If I have to stand and play at the same time, that's okay with me. Uh, but as far would I, in a situation like that, would I put my violin down, take up baton, and stand in front of the orchestra conduct? Uh, I I wouldn't do that unless there were no other choice. And fortunately, the you know the times we had that experience a couple summers ago, everyone was ready for it. So it was actually a really wonderful experience.
Yes,
Uh,
and you use the word lead from your chair, and that's exactly what you did. And again, with such a small ensemble as it was, I think that was 2 summers ago, um, that's that's exactly what you did. And the orchestra was right there, and you all know each other so well, and you were able to make your little nuances and lead right from your chair.
yep, it was a wonderful experience. Uh, yes, it's you know, in a situation like that, I remember talking to the orchestra, and only thing I could suggest for us to do, because it was a tight situation, is I simply said to them, you know, I've spent all my time when leading from this chair, when the conductor's on the podium and we're rehearsing, I spend all my time trying to play every note that I have with all of you. And what I'm going to ask you to do this concert is reverse that, and you all make every effort to play with me, and it worked very well. So yes, it can be trying, but it can also be artistically gratifying, and certainly helps an orchestra like ours grow.
Well, it does very much so, and we're so appreciative to have you in this role. And so is the orchestra. I know that members of the orchestra respect you so much, and I think it takes the right kind of personality to be in that position. And as you just said, you don't walk on stage thinking, okay, I am the best, and I'm going to tell you what to do. That's not how it works at all, and that's not what makes you such an incredible concertmaster and such an effective leader in that role. So
Well, I thank you. I'm glad it's appreciated. It, it's really important to me.
yes, it is. Well, and you've been with GLCO almost from the beginning, haven't you? I know that you've had a long relationship, like you just said, with Bob Pattengale, and you were here when Matthew Hazelwood was conducting. And what things have changed from those earlier years?
Well, let's see. I think, yeah, I haven't been with the orchestra from the very beginning, but certainly early on, I did join the orchestra. I think the single biggest change is that, well, I think it's constant improvement. The you know that everybody from the very beginning w- came together trying to put this orchestra together. Let's see what's happened. Let's see what can happen. Let's see how we can grow it. And it's been an incredible journey of constant improvement. You know, I mean, it's a little bit like this, but overall, it's definitely a very different orchestra. If the biggest change, I would say, how we produce a concert now is very different than when we began. Rehearsal schedule is much more compact. Things are planned way in advance rather than as they come up in the moment. Uh, Matt Hazelwood's directorship of GLCO was very much uh, training at a very high level. and he worked very hard to bring everybody up to the level that we could have a quality concert. But very much I would consider it in training. Now, Lieber is approaches it much differently. He's expecting and demanding that people show up earlier, more prepared, and it's an important step, and it's one that I support totally, and that allows other things to happen, including, you know, you can play more varied repertoire. We can explore uh, other genres more gratifyingly. And I think, you know, I think constant growth, that's the biggest change I've seen.
Right, right. How do you feel about playing at the Great Lakes Center for the Arts? That has been a new addition for us in the last 2 years now. It's been 2 seasons that we have performed there. How do you feel about that?
It's a beautiful facility. Uh, the um, way the acoustics work there, it's very new for the orchestra. I've worked in environments like that in the past, and it is a little different, and it's a little bit hard to get used to. Uh, and I think we're still getting used to it. But I think it's a beautiful space, and it's always a pleasure to play there. And I really look forward to uh, getting in there as soon as possible again.
Yes, so do we. And that sort of brings us to, my goodness, Paul, where are we in this world of live performance and being a symphony orchestra and not being able to do what it is we do best? And looking forward to getting together again. And you at Interlaken, I know there have been some adjustments that have been made at Interlaken. So, what is going on with your life right now?
Well, yes, this whole situation is constantly changing and really amazing to me. As I've told, almost everyone who knows me well, I don't do well in a virtual environment. Um, Interlaken is moving forward. I'm just amazed by what I see happening uh, on our campus or virtually. So we actually finished after spring break online. So I did all my private lessons, all my teaching virtually online, and it's mostly through Zoom and FaceTime. I found FaceTime to work a lot better, but we're Interlaken has the capacity, the technology, and certainly the artists to take it to the highest level it can be. And I know that's what's going on as we get ready to start virtual camp. The the platforms and getting them acoustically ready, you know, all the right equipment to make it as great as an experience as it can be. That's the direction that we're headed, at least for camp. Uh, as of now, Academy, we plan very much to be on campus, uh, almost a month early. Uh, so so we don't have to, you know, spread it out so much with people having to leave campus. It's going to be very different though. You know, we're still learning, and it's very, very interesting. Online performance. I've watched a couple of our concerts, and I've certainly saw a lot from Interlaken's graduation and festival. It's hard. It's hard to, especially to figure it out to begin with. Uh, but it's amazing to me how quickly it's moving forward, and it should be interesting to see what that actually turns into. Uh, and hopefully we won't have to find out ultimately what it turns into, because we will be allowed to go back to live performance.
Right. Well, we are looking forward to that too. And of course, it's things are still a little unsure as to what will happen in the fall and what will be allowed And, you know, we've got lots of different things in play here. One certainly being our orchestra, our musicians, and how comfortable are they? Will they be coming together and performing and sitting on stage next to each other? And then, of course, our audiences, many of whom are 60, 70, and 80 years old, and how comfortable would they be getting together again? So there's a lot of stuff that mixes together in this pot of the new normal, as we're hearing that phrase quite a bit. So Paul, I just want to thank you so much for being with me today and appearing here with us on Tuesday Talks, and looking forward to, I just can't tell you how I'm looking forward to having the orchestra performing again, watching you walk out and have the audience applause, and you're tuning the orchestra. And those are all pictures that all of us have vividly in our minds. And I know I'm not the only one that is looking forward to seeing that again, because that means the start of something pretty incredible. And we're all really looking forward to that. So Paul, thank you very much for being with us today, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you, Judy. It's a pleasure. And I truly look forward to our next live GLCO concert.
Great. Thank you.
Mhm.